Hello, I'm Paul Jess, Executive Director of the Florida Justice Association. Today is Friday, February 14th, 2020. Today is not only Valentine's Day, but also the end of the 5th week of the Florida legislative session. We are now officially over halfway through, with only 4 weeks left to go. This week was not only hectic, it was a week full of high drama, especially in the Senate Banking and Insurance Committee. Auto insurance reform was a big issue this week. Bills to have Florida join the 48 other states that require drivers to carry responsibility-based bodily injury liability insurance were on committee agendas in both chambers. As you know, these bills repeal PIP and replace it with mandatory bodily injury liability insurance of at least $25.50 and also require the mandatory offer of MedPay. The House Government Operations and Technology Appropriations Subcommittee took up and passed Representative Aaron Grall's good bill, House Bill 771. The Senate Banking and Insurance Committee had on its agenda the Senate companion bill, Senate Bill 378 by Senator Tom Lee. However, a fight over insurance company bad faith amendments prevented the committee from reaching that legislation. Here's what happened. A terrible bad faith amendment was filed against Senator Lee's auto insurance legislation. Senator Brandes then filed the same terrible amendment against his omnibus bill on financial services, Senate Bill 1334. The amendment passed under Senate Bill 1334. But when it was time to vote on the bill as amended, Senator Lee stated his opposition to the bill. That meant the bill would have failed on a tie vote if a final vote was called. To avoid that outcome, Senator Brandes asked for his bill to be temporarily postponed or TP'd. And so the committee ran out of time to hear Senator Lee's auto insurance reform bill. The committee also did not get to hear other bills on its agenda, such as a standalone bad faith bill, the litigation funding bill, and the peer-to-peer auto rental bill. Although Senator Lee's good auto insurance reform bill is not back on the agenda of the committee for next week, we continue to think that passage is still possible this session. On the issue of the peer-to-peer auto rental bill that I just mentioned, the House Ways and Means Committee passed Representative Latval's peer-to-peer car rental bill. The legislation allows people to rent their personal vehicles through an app. It's basically like Airbnb for cars. The required liability insurance for renters is the state's current bare minimum, a $10,000 PIP policy with $10,000 property damage liability. So under this bill, an 18-year-old can use an app to rent a Corvette with minimal insurance. We believe the insurance requirement should be the same as is required of transportation network companies like Uber and Lyft, which is $1 million. There was drama and action this week on the medical damages issue also. Senate Bill 1668 by Senator Simmons was on the agenda of the Senate Health Policy Committee on Tuesday. The bill was amended with language that had been drafted by the Florida Medical Association. The amendment improved the bill, especially in regard to evidence of future medical damages, but the bill is still not acceptable to the FJA. The amendment provides that for past medical expenses, if a patient is entitled to health insurance, Medicare, or Medicaid, then evidence from the Fair Health database is admissible. The bill then passed the committee as amended, but just barely, on a vote of 5-4. This bill is on the agenda next Wednesday in the Senate Banking and Insurance Committee. On Thursday, the House Commerce Committee considered legislation to limit the use of attorney fee multipliers in property insurance cases. Supporters of that bill say Florida should adopt the federal standard that the multiplier should be applied only in rare and exceptional circumstances. Opponents, including the FJA, see this as an access to courts issue, as the possibility of a multiplier helps consumers with tough cases find competent representation where they might otherwise go unrepresented. Also in House Commerce, the CFO's property insurance bill, House Bill 1137, sponsored by Representative Clemens, was passed. We are working with the CFO to make sure this bill will contain good public policy for homeowners and other consumers. Committees also heard legislation regarding motor vehicle dealer vicarious liability. Senate Infrastructure and Security Committee passed Senate Bill 1738 by Senator Brandes. House Judiciary passed a similar bill, House Bill 977, by Representative Rommel. We are working to make sure these bills do not do further damage to the dangerous instrumentality doctrine. The Senate bill is on the agenda for next Wednesday in the Senate Judiciary Committee. Please read the message from FJA Legislative and Political Director Jeff Porter for an in-depth look at next week's legislative activity. Special thanks to the many FJA officers and members who were in town this week to assist in the lobbying efforts for issues affecting you and your clients. These included FJA President Leslie Kroger, FJA President-elect Eric Romano, FJA Treasurer Tiffany Faddis, and FJA past presidents Paul Anderson, Dale Swope, and Fred Cunningham. Please see the written portion of this update for a complete list. If you are able to, please consider making plans to join us sometime during the remaining 4 weeks of this session to help ensure that our civil justice system remains strong. Thank you for all you do for your clients and for all Floridians. And thank you for being a member of the Florida Justice Association.